This one mistake could kill your Google Business Profile for up to 5 weeks. Following Google Business Profile best practices is crucial in helping your account stay active for a long time. If you don't follow their best practices, you could get penalized by getting your account suspended.
Suspended for 5 weeks. What was the offense?
Well, the problem is when people create their Google Business Profile, especially when they're starting out as a business, they don't have a lot of images to put on their profile, right? And so like when you set it up, like they want you to put all your like business descriptions, photos, videos, like they want you to fill it all out. And the more you fill out, the better, right? And so if you put like, for instance, in this case, it was stock photography, right? Just like from a free profile.
Really? So that is a no-go on Google Business Profile.
Yeah. So you create the profile. We created the profile. Stock images were used, and shortly after the profile went live, it got suspended, and it took up to 5 weeks to get it reapproved.
Oh, geez.
I mean, what we did, it was super simple.
This seems like a really minor offense.
Oh, totally. Like, and it wasn't anything crazy. Like, I think it was 2 or 3 photos.
And they were free, like copyright free stock images. Yeah. So it's not like you stole somebody's stuff. Yeah.
No. So we use Envato Elements for a lot of free stock photography. Envato Elements, if you haven't heard about it, like it's amazing because it's like $200 for the entire year. You get stock photos, stock videos. Like,
that's super nice.
It's incredible for other projects.
Right.
Just don't use it for Google Business Profile because I think what happens is Google has crawled all those images and they know what's stock and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Google has made a bigger push to create more authentic content. Right.
Yeah.
So if you're going to use stock photography in a Google Business Profile, they're going to see it as like, hey, this isn't legit. This is a little shady. And I think that's where the suspension came from. That's my best guess. Like, I poured over Google Business Profile best practices, and I couldn't see anything that directly said don't use stock photography.
Yeah. So did you go through once you get suspended like that, you go through an appeal process?
Yes, you can appeal it. So after you look at all the best practices, you can make any changes necessary and then go through the appeal process.
Oh, by the way, Google Business Profile, it's for people that don't understand what that is. It is your profile. Like when you type in a specific thing, like if I wanted to go get a haircut and I type in my barbershop, and the first thing that pops up is this barbershop, the hours, the phone number, the website, and the location, and like so that top
on the
thing,
right hand side usually.
Yeah, right. And that's what you're talking about.
Yes. Yep. And that's something that if your business has been around a while and you haven't claimed it, you can go in and claim it so that you can then edit the information on it.
Oh, okay.
That's
so after a while, they'll just create your own. If you're a big enough brand or people are searching you enough or whatever, they'll just create one for you.
Right. And something that is a little scary is other people can make edits to your business profile. Now, it has to go through like a little approval process, but that's also another important reason why you should claim your Google Business Profile.
Yeah.
Is because if you don't, people can say, oh, this business is closed. And it would require somebody else to go in and say, no, this business isn't closed, or change your hours or something. So like technically your competitors can wreak a little bit of havoc on your Google Business Profile if you haven't already claimed it.
Right. So it got suspended for 5 weeks, or during the suspension, you went through an appeal process.
Went through the appeal process. So the appeal process is fairly simple. It may require you to upload some business documents to show that you do own the business, which is a good thing, right? Like you don't want just anybody to be able to go in and do stuff to your business. But so you go in and say, here's the steps that we took. And one of the things that I read is that you're not supposed to make like an emotional appeal. Like, I don't understand how this happened. Like, we're a small business. How could you do this? Don't do any of that. Keep it very, very factual. And so you go through and say, here's what we noticed. Here's the steps we took. And I even put on there, like, we fully intend to comply 100% with best practices. So if there's anything else that we're doing that we need to change, please let us know. Most of the time they won't get back to you, but like you'll just get one saying it was approved or denied.
Yeah, okay.
And so
when it was denied, or you didn't get denied, but
we didn't get denied.
When you go, it tells you when you got suspended what it was, why it got suspended, or no?
They give a little bit of hints to say why it was suspended.
Right.
But it's very vague sometimes.
So it's like the IRS. They're like, you owe us money, but we're not going to tell you how much.
Exactly.
You have to calculate it. And if you're wrong, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, you'll get a penalty for it. And so,
right.
But so one of the common things that people do when they get their profile suspended is they're like, well, maybe I should just delete it and then do it again. But this is the worst thing that you could do. And it's because if you delete it, now it's completely unlinked to your email.
Right.
And if you recreate it, Google will see that it's like kind of a duplicate and say, no, we're going to disapprove this one automatically.
Right.
And then now you have two of them that are disapproved and you don't have access to the original.
No, that's not good.
Like you could come into a situation to where it's like you can never get it approved again. Which is super scary. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But
especially when the Google Business Profile, when you are directly searching for something, it's almost the top. It's up at the top every time. It's extremely important. Yeah.
And you want to be able to, especially as a new business, you want to be able to get reviews from people as soon as possible. And so if you have to wait 5 weeks to start getting reviews, that puts you at a major disadvantage.
Yeah, and I think with brick and mortar stores and companies, it's extremely important to have that up running and that you have it claimed and all the information is correct.
Think about the last time that you did a search for a local business and you saw those reviews like on the business profile. Like you take those into consideration.
Restaurants, you're 2.5 stars, I'll pass.
Right.
I'll go to a different one.
Right. And so like you got to be up there. You got to have your reviews. You got to have everything all fleshed out so that people can make a decision on whether to give you business or not.
Where would someone find the best practices? They just type in Google's best practices for...
I would Google business profile best practices, and Google has support pages that lay it all out. If you do get suspended, there are links in the suspension email and everything to they'll email you and let you know.
Process.
Kind of, yeah. They'll say, here's where you appeal it. Here's some best practices. They'll give you a link, and you can go through and read before you make the appeal. Because you need to be able to make changes before you go through the appeal process.
Well, it's good to know about the stock images because I think a lot of companies starting out, I mean, I've done some Google business profiles as well, and I've set those up. Luckily, they had photos, but I've set it up for a woodworking business in California. I set up their website. I set up the Google business profile. But he had just had a bunch of photos taken by a professional photographer. But I've also set up businesses that don't have any content. It is hard, first of all, to set up a website. But then to set up that, I understand why you would do that because sometimes you're like, you have any photos I can use?
Right.
They'll send you photos and they're horrible. Whether it's just they're grainy, just doesn't look good. It's not going to represent the business well.
Yeah.
So I understand why people just grab stock images. And if it's going to do that, it's almost better to wait or pay to get good content so that way you have something you can
no content is better than bad content, but if you need to have photos, like I mean your iPhone, cell phones take amazing pictures.
Phones are so good now that you can get some good photos with your phone. For even a placeholder. If you're like, I'm going to get professional photos done later, whatever business you're at, the phone will do a good job. Just put a little effort in. You can use portrait mode. There's a bunch of different settings you can do to make them the highest quality possible on your phone.
Right.
And they should do a good job.
Totally. Yeah. And it's worth pointing out too, the appeal process used to only take 5 days.
Yeah.
Like pretty quick.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But there was an article that came out recently that said it can take up to 5 weeks now, and people are complaining about it because they're not used to that.
Yeah, that seems like a long time. It's over a month,
especially if you're a business starting out. Like 5 weeks is an eternity.
Yeah, right.
So it's just better before you create a Google business profile. Like look at the best practices, and then build it out. It's not difficult to build out. Like it's pretty simple, and so just build it out with those best practices in mind, and you should be good to go.
Thanks for listening, guys. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment below on if you agreed with today's topic, disagreed with today's topic. Let's start a discussion to figure out the best practices to grow your small business.
Please visit us at launchingpros.com, where you can find more information on how to grow your business as an entrepreneur.